Welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher, along with BNEWS producer Sydney Bowles, BNEWS reporters Tad Stefanak, Robert Paris, and Chris Flaherty, Peter Brown with the weather, and Gretchen Carey with the community calendar. Thank you for joining us. A recently retired Burlington police sergeant is recovering after he was hit by a car on a road detail Wednesday in the CVS Plaza. According to Chief Thomas Brown, retired Sergeant Timothy Kirshner had been appointed to the position of Special Police Officer, meaning he was eligible to be stationed on road details like this one. On Wednesday, he was struck by a 75-year-old man from Reading who jumped a curb while trying to park. Kirshner was transported to Leahy Hospital and Medical Center for injuries to his arm, back, and leg, and is expected to recover. Chief Brown said the incident reminded him of the recent death of Billerica Sergeant Ian Taylor, who was struck and killed while on a road detail.
It's daunting to hear this. I obviously have worked with Tim for years. He's a very good friend of mine, and also it brings you back to Sergeant Taylor and Billerica. I'm getting calls from other chiefs and the sheriff of Middlesex reaching out with prayers that they hope the officer's okay, and thank God it looks like he's going to be. But yeah, it's just scary when it happens in your own backyard. It brings things to a different level of consciousness.
We wish Sergeant Kirshner a full recovery. The Burlington Veterans Service has finalized a plan to add a sixth flag to the Veterans section of the town common. The new flag will represent the newest branch of the U.S. military, the Space Force, which was created in 2019. The project comes from Burlington resident Art Enos, a veteran himself, and the Commandant of the Marine Corps League. He was also the architect of the original Veterans section project about a decade ago. With inflation and some upkeep work to the area, the project is expected to cost about $30,000, all paid for by the contributions of veterans. Select Board member Nick Priest offered to see if the town could contribute, but Veteran Service Officer Chris Hannafin politely turned him down. Let's watch.
Is there any way that we can help them pay for this? I mean, $30,000 and they're paying for the whole thing. I mean, you know, is there a way that we can pitch in funds?
Can I interject? Us within the veterans community take pride in the fact that we take care of our own. I think this is more of a sense of us veterans that if we can give back, we want to. And that's why the Veterans Organization takes immense pride in the sense that there hasn't been a single tax dollar used for any of those monuments out there or any of the flagpoles, to include the high school project. It was all funded by veterans, and we would like to keep it that way.
Okay. Okay. Well, I won't be one to step on pride. That's for sure. You know, just know that the offer comes from a place of true appreciation. You know, that I don't believe that you should have to, you know, but I also appreciate everything that you've done and continue to do for the town.
Thank you.
So, thank you guys, truly.
According to Youth and Family Services, it's been a difficult few weeks for mental health in Burlington. In 1 week recently, the town suffered 3 completed suicides and 1 attempted suicide. Struck by the magnitude of the loss, the Community Response Team, a group of agencies that meets to discuss common issues in town, met to see if there was anything they could do. Christine Shruhan, Executive Director of YFS, had this to say.
But the question came up about what could we do as a town, how can we respond to what the needs in the community are. And as a group, one of the pieces that we've gotten into a discussion of, one of the things that's coming up for folks in all departments is language. I mean, Burlington is becoming a much more diverse community, which is a good thing. But the needs, there are some folks in this community that have needs, and it really sometimes is hard to address and meet the needs of some folks.
Select Board member Jim Tegas, a former police detective, explained it this way.
I was talking to the fire chief earlier. When they have someone in the back of the ambulance who doesn't speak English, what do you do? And he says, we can't do anything. Not even someone in distress are they able to communicate. They can't tell the paramedics what's bothering them, what hurts, or where they're injured, because they can't talk.
To try to address the problem, the town is piloting an emergency service that provides translators live over video or phone in the back of an ambulance, in the field, or in a government office. The pilot program will be financed by leftover federal pandemic funding, which must be spent by the end of the year. The town will take a look at how much the software is used and how much it might cost to pay for it sustainably in the future. The town of Burlington the town of Burlington hasn't done that. The Burlington Board of Selectmen this week held a third public hearing on a leaning utility pole on Chestnut Avenue, which Verizon wants to bolster with a guide wire strung across the street. Verizon says it's the best way to maintain services, but some on the select board worry it's part of a growing trend of unsightly Band-Aid fixes like double poles and leaning poles. Here's Select Board member Nick Priest.
What we're finding across town is double poles, poles that have been, put up and then cut, so it's jointed at the top. There's only one pole going on the ground. Guy wires, things of this nature that are, becoming pervasive within the community. And, one of the big things that I and this board look for is to ensure that our infrastructure is as functional as it is aesthetic.
The Select Board asked a contractor for Verizon to come back with a possible alternative, though it's not certain that there are any in this instance. The town of Burlington has successfully installed 2 additional electric vehicle chargers at Town Hall. The chargers are accessible to the public 24/7 at a cost of 20 cents per kilowatt hour, and parking is free for the first 2 hours. The expansion was primarily funded by the Massachusetts Electric Vehicle Incentive Program. The risk level for West Nile virus has been increased from low to moderate after a second mosquito carrying the virus was identified here in Burlington. The risk level increase comes from the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. The department urges residents to wear insect repellent, drain standing water, and install or repair window screens. The Burlington Cutest Safety Program entered this week. Safety Town teaches kindergartners, first and second graders all about road safety. Robert Paris has the story.
Children of all ages will be going back to school, and the Burlington Police Department wants to ensure all kids know the basics of road safety.
Safety Town is a collaboration with the Burlington Police Department and Simon Properties, the Burlington Mall, to teach kids general information about bicycle safety, pedestrian safety, and bus safety. Pretty much what to do when they're walking on the street, how to cross the street, what to do when they're waiting at the bus stop, how to act at the bus stop, how to get on the bus, what to do in the case of an emergency, and how to ride their bikes along the roadway, obeying the rules of the road.
What's nice about the town is that it is tucked away beside the Burlington Mall.
So we have our makeshift town here. It's just a smaller version of any other neighborhood. We have stop signs and some buildings set up there. So we teach them how to stop at the stop signs, how to look both ways before crossing the street, making sure there's no cars around, how to be careful and staying off to the side of the road, and pretty much just how to stay safe when they're out trying to enjoy themselves.
Sergeant Abascaroon says his goal is to make sure everyone has an understanding of what to do and not to do as a pedestrian.
Clearly, we're going to have a lot of kids out there riding their bikes to school, walking to school, taking the bus. So we felt that it's important to do it this time of year to reinforce the safety efforts that we're trying to teach these kids. Sometimes they go long and forgotten between generations, and sometimes parents just forget to tell their kids about some of the general things, such as how to stop at the stop sign, how to stay off the roadway, walking on the sidewalk, and things like that. So we're just here to reintroduce that, reinforce that to some of these kids so that it's fresh in their memory when they're going back to school.
It's a fun and educational way to become aware of the rules of the road in a learn-by-doing environment.
I think seeing the kids' smiles on their face and seeing how they actually enjoy it. It's not often that they get to come down here and ride these bikes and get this type of instruction from us, so it's nice to see them come down here, see the parents enjoying it, and watching the parents' faces when their kids are smiling, riding around on the bike. So I think it definitely gives you that sense of satisfaction that you're getting, not only you're getting your point across, but you're doing it in a fun and educational way.
From the Burlington Mall, I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Weekly.
Third Avenue is continuing its investment in the arts, this time with a larger-than-life marine statue. Here's Chris Flaherty with more.
In the fall of 2023, the Norblum Company began a partnership with the New England Sculptors Association to bring more public art to the Northwest Park area. This month, the next piece acquired through this partnership made a splash onto the green at 3rd Ave. The sculpture was crafted by Thomas Berger.
This is a right whale, one of the rarest whales in the world, actually. There are only 350 approximately left, and they migrate from along the eastern coast, along the coast of Massachusetts and Cape Cod, and then go further north in the spring and then come back in the fall. I have been a nature-fascinated person since as long as I can think. When I was a child, I collected fossils, and that was probably one of the starts of my artwork as well, because at one point I started making fake fish fossils because I couldn't find them. And I also had a father who promoted the arts. He loved the arts, and I think I got all of that from my parents.
Berger expressed his gratitude in having his piece now on display in Burlington.
I feel very honored. It's a fantastic place. It's a beautiful place too. I can see there's a lot of care in the environment. It's actually a very cozy community place. Lots of people around and shops and cafes, and it's just a nice place. I'm very happy about it.
Norblum is committed to bringing more public art to the Northwest Park area in the future.
Just as a commitment to upping the vibe here at Northwest Park, we've committed to do these installations throughout the park. So we're just in the beginning phases. This is only the third. We're very excited for the pieces we have here. The artists that we've worked with have been great, and we're very excited for adding more in the future.
Until next time, this is Chris Flaherty for BNEWS Weekly.
The law firm Reamer & Bronstein, which has an office in Burlington, has been acknowledged for its charitable giving for the 19th year in a row. The law firm was named as one of the top charitable firms in Massachusetts by the Boston Business Journal. Senior partner Bob Buckley, who's a familiar face in charitable endeavors here in Burlington, told B News, and I quote, "As a firm, we feel that we have a strong commitment to give back to the communities we practice in and local charitable causes. This philosophy is long-standing and is fully embraced by our attorneys, our staff, and is a source of pride. Congratulations to Reamer & Bronstein for this honor." I think I can speak for most of us when I say it's been fun to have the 16 painted pig sculptures on the town common this summer, but alas, it's almost time for them to go. After Labor Day, the statues will return to the businesses and organizations that sponsored them. The Sculpture Park is holding a party to send the pigs off in style on August 24th at 10 a.m. Residents can stop by the Common for some free watermelon and a final goodbye, and you might get to participate. The Sculpture Park says you can go to their website, burlingtonsculpturepark.org, and tell the committee about your favorite pig. The winning entry for each pig will give the pig a special gift on the big day. That's burlingtonsculpturepark.org. You may know Betty Crocker for her recipes and cookbooks, or maybe for the convenient cake mixes on grocery store shelves. But back in the 70s across America, there was a small handful of Betty Crocker pie shops, including right here in Burlington. Eventually, consumer habits changed and parent company General Mills closed the stores, but their legacy lives on here in town. Let's take a look.
Here we are at the corner of Middlesex Turnpike and Bedford Street. Right now it's a symbol of discipline, of delaying self-gratification, instant gratification. We have the Borough hockey experience where you presumably practice and practice to get better on the long term. We have a Citizens Bank where you decline instant gratification and you save for a better future. All about discipline, willpower. Well, in 1973, this was the corner of everything except willpower. It was the corner of decadence. It was the Betty Crocker Pie Shop. The first one in Massachusetts opened right here in 1973.
I'm Natasha Bruins. I'm the Senior Corporate Archivist for General Mills. These are just so fascinating in terms of the space that they hold, especially Betty Crocker opening her own restaurants is something that's really unique. As you mentioned, the one thing that I think is super fascinating is this aesthetic that they really had in these pie shops with this like bright orange, the yellow, and like a hint of pink thrown in there.
This town was becoming faster paced. It was no longer a farming town. It was a place where you wanted something to eat, and you wanted some fast food, and you wanted some dessert. And you came here to this corner.
It's just kind of one of those things that we had a few in the Twin Cities and then also a few on the East Coast. There was 2 others in Connecticut, and then also this one in Burlington that opened.
About a decade of this went on until the Betty Crocker Pie Shop packed up and left.
I'm sure I'm still carrying a few pounds from that place. There are plenty of places in Burlington that are wild, but not many that are what's known as certified wildlife habitat. Tad Stefanak takes us there.
Our yard has been recognized by the National Wildlife Federation as a wildlife sanctuary. It's something anybody can actually do if they meet certain qualifications. We'll like to give you a tour of our yard and go over what parts of it meet the different requirements for certification for wildlife habitat. It's that you provide water, food, cover, which means places to shelter, and places for raising young. And the 5th one they just added is sustainability, that you do it in a sustainable method. Okay, let's start with our shade garden out front here. This whole area is heavy shade under this Japanese maple tree, which we planted probably 25 years ago. The tree, first of all, provides shade, of course, but it also provides a lot of shelter and housing. You know, we have birds' nest in it. We've hung some bird feeders, bird houses in there to provide additional nesting, and they do get used by wrens and chickadees. So we're going to talk about this area here, which is along the sidewalk. It's primarily our pollinator garden. There's many, many plants specifically chosen by us to feed bees, wasps, butterflies, all kinds of pollinators. And the bright red plants are favorites of hummingbirds.
We needed a place for our bees to drink. The bees are right over the fence here this week. I had put a feeder on top of the beehive.
We have 2 beehives. They're honeybees. We acquired them when a local beekeeper had to relocate his 20 or 30 hives that he had. So we said, sure, we'll take a couple. So he came and he sets them up and he takes care of the honey and he takes care of the hives, which is great. And we get a couple of good-sized jars of honey free from him every year. This is a May apple, which is a form of spring ephemeral because it grows these little apples here. And these are really almost ripe. Each plant has 1 flower, which is underneath the plant. You can't even see it unless you get on the ground and look at it. So not all wildlife in this yard is natural or native. We also have chickens. We have 2 different breeds of chickens here. We have Rhode Island Reds and some white leghorns. We have them just because it's fun and they provide eggs. This is one of the more interesting plants in the yard. This is an eastern prickly pear cactus. And yes, I said eastern. It actually grows native in eastern Massachusetts on the Cape and other parts of the East Coast. This cactus can survive the winters here. We don't mulch it or cover it in the winter. In the winter, the leaves go limp. And if you didn't know the plant, you would think that they were dead. They'd look like mush laying on the ground. But in the spring, as soon as they warm up, they stand right back up. And this plant is probably 10 years old now. The number one thing, in my opinion, is diversity. The more things you put in your yard, the more things can live there. I like to look at my yard, my property, as one organism in which I am just one of the living species. I'm not trying to take over the yard and control everything. I'm trying to live with the items that grow here. And I think that's the way Jane and I have raised the yard for 30 years. And we do our part to help other people do that as well. She's in the garden club, I'm on the conservation. We try to spread the word, if you will, about the kind of gardening that we do and that we think it's something that other people should do as well.
As you may recall from previous weeks, there are 5 new sculptures at the Sculpture Park, and we're introducing you to all 5 of them, 1 week at a time. This week, it's the hungriest statue of them all.
This is Edwin the Hungry Dragon, and he has a very special place in my heart, and I think the hearts of most of the people on the Sculpture Park Committee. And he's made out of recycled and antique metals and a lot of European coins. So if you look closely, there are wrenches and coins and springs and all kinds of weird things put together to create the body of the dragon. He's very interesting. I think you can look at him every day and you'll see something new. Oh, also, Brian wrote a song about Edwin the Hungry Dragon specifically for the Burlington Sculpture Park, and you can find the song on the Burlington Sculpture Park website.
If you see Edwin coming, better lock that garden gate, or all your pretty flowers will have an awful fate. 'Cause Edwin's always hungry, he always thinks it's lunch, and on your lovely garden, he would love to munch. He'll chew up all your roses, he don't care about the thorns. He'll eat up all your cabbages, your carrots, and your corn. Edwin, oh Edwin, Edwin the Hungry Dragon. He's bigger than a rabbit, he's smaller than a moose, but he will eat your garden if he should get loose. He'll eat the full-grown flowers, he'll eat the little shoots. He don't care what they taste like, he even eats the roots. Edwin, oh Edwin, Edwin the Hungry Dragon. Yahoo!
Now let's turn to the forecast with Peter Brown, and stay tuned for your community calendar with Gretchen Carey.
Well, hello everyone, this is Peter Brown with a look at the weather for the next 7 days. Here we are heading in towards the 3rd week of August. I know it's hard to believe that meteorological summer is almost over. I hope you're getting some time to get out there and catch those last rays of summer, as we are heading towards fall pretty quickly, but we have some pretty nice weather still to go ahead, so you don't have to worry about any of that really chilly weather coming in, hopefully for quite some time. As we go ahead, let's take a look at what the Climate Prediction Center is calling for us in terms of temperatures and precipitation for the next 7 to 10 days. Looking at our temperature map, they're looking at us here in southern New England to have fairly average to maybe slightly above average temperatures. Looks like the temperatures are going to be a little bit more above average the further north you head into New England. And it looks like we're going to be staying, I think, from what I'm seeing, fairly average out there. We may have a few days that's actually cooler than average this weekend and at the start of the work week. Now, looking at our precipitation chances, they're also expecting us to have a chance of above average precipitation. I'm seeing that as well. Looks like we're going to have some spotty showers and thunderstorms for at least a few days as we get into a slightly cooler and more humid pattern as we go ahead. Now, of course, everybody knows over this past week, we didn't get nearly the amount of rain out of the remnants of Hurricane Debbie that we were originally expecting, and that is going to continue to prolong this slight drought that we have in our area right now. So just keep an eye on that. We do need some water pretty badly right now. We do need some rain to come out of those clouds. So let's go ahead, let's take a look at those 7 days of weather again coming up. And again, starting our period on Friday, looks like it's going to be a very nice day to start out your weekend. Looks like it's going to be mostly sunny skies, temperatures in the low to mid 80s. Then Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and even into Tuesday, looks like we're going to have a fairly predictable pattern here. Looks like chance of showers out there, fairly cloudy out there, a little bit cooler, temperatures hovering in the upper 70s mostly, much stickier out there. So it's going to be a very muggy feeling to the air out there. So not this like the nice dry air that we've been seeing over the past couple of days. Now, bear in mind, we are going to be watching a fairly strong hurricane, at least what we think is going to be a fairly strong hurricane, Ernesto, out near Bermuda. Now, right now, it doesn't look like that's going to be affecting us at all, except for some heavy surf heading our way. But as we've seen with some of the models this year, a lot of these storms have been trending further west. So just keep it in the back of your mind. Again, especially if you're going to the beach, be careful of those rip currents and those large waves coming in from Ernesto. And then as we end up the period, it looks like the sun's going to come back out. Temperature's going to get back up there into the mid-80s before it looks like a fairly strong cold front approaches us on Thursday, which might actually start off a cooling trend for us for a couple of days as we head in towards the next weekend. So everyone, get out there, enjoy the weather, and have a great week.
Hi, I'm Amy Poehler, and you're watching BCAT. Go Red Devils.
Hey everyone, I'm Gretchen Carey, and this is your Community Calendar. On August 22nd from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m., the Burlington Public Library will be having a movie night featuring the film Twister. No registration is required for this event. On August 27th from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., the Made in Burlington store will be having a back-to-school beads and bling arts and craft. Everyone is welcome and pre-registration is required. To register and for more information, go to this website. Through August 28th, People Helping People is still having their sizzling summer raffle. Tickets are $10 a piece and there are 6 chances to win. For more details, go to peoplehelpingpeopleinc.org. For more community calendar events, go to bcattv.org, burlingtonpubliclibrary.org, and burlingtonrecreation.org. I'm Gretchen Carey, and that was your Community Calendar.
And as we do each week, we're finishing up with a photo sent in by a member of the community. Evan McNamee shared this photo from a family trip to Old Orchard Beach in Maine. Thank you, Evan. If you have a photo you'd like to see featured here, email it to us at bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line Photo of the Week. That's it for our program this week. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Phil Gallagher, and I'll see you right back here next week. Thank you.